My name is Derek Lawson, and the first time Tessa Monroe asked me to put my hands anywhere near her body, I almost dropped my water bottle on a retired firefighter's foot. Not my proudest moment. I was 25, old enough to pay rent, hold down a real job, and pretend I had emotional control in public. I worked as an MRI tech at St. Vincent's, which meant I spent most of my day telling people not to move while giant magnets screamed around them. After work, I went to Iron Haven Gym to clear my head, lift quietly, and avoid making eye contact with the woman I had been quietly noticing for 3 months. That woman was Tessa. She was 24 with dark blonde hair she usually twisted into a messy knot, a laugh that came out sharp when something genuinely amused her, and the kind of focus that made people give her space without being asked. She trained like she had made a private promise to herself and had no interest in breaking it for anyone. I'd seen her help an older woman adjust the seat on a rowing machine. I'd seen her tell a college guy, politely but firmly, that if he could load 5 plates, he could also re-rack them. I'd seen her sit on the floor between sets eating orange slices from a plastic container like she was at a youth soccer game, instead of surrounded by men grunting under barbells. So, yes, she was beautiful. But that was the least dangerous thing about her. The dangerous thing was how alive she looked when she was doing something hard. That Tuesday, the gym smelled like rubber mats, chalk, and someone's aggressive vanilla protein shake. The late afternoon crowd had filled every bench. Old rock music played over the speakers. I was finishing rows near the squat racks, trying very hard not to watch Tessa warm up. Trying and failing. She had on black leggings, white trainers, and a faded burgundy college sweatshirt with the sleeves pushed up. There was a tiny streak of chalk on her jaw. She had 2 45s and a 10 on each side of the bar, and she kept glancing toward the mirror like she was doing math only she understood. Then she turned around and looked directly at me. Not near me, at me. Derek, right? My grip slipped on the handle. That was another thing. We had never had a real conversation. I knew her name because the front desk guy said it every time she scanned in. Apparently, she knew mine because I was not as invisible as I had hoped. Yeah, I said too quickly. That's me. Her mouth tilted. You always answer like you're being called to court? Depends on the charge. Staring without introducing yourself. I felt heat hit the back of my neck. She laughed, not cruelly, more like she had caught me stealing fries and didn't mind sharing the plate. I wasn't staring, I said. No. I was observing proper squat mechanics. Very professional. I work in medical imaging. We're known for our subtlety. She stepped under the bar, then ducked back out and looked at me again. Can you spot me? There are moments in a man's life when he discovers exactly how many stupid thoughts can fit inside his skull at one time. Mine included. Don't be weird. Don't touch her, unless she needs it. Why did she ask you, is there something on your shirt? Did you put on deodorant? Please tell me you put on deodorant. Out loud, I managed. For squats? No, Derek, for my taxes. I smiled before I could stop myself. There it was. The first real smile I had given a woman in months without calculating how fast it might turn into regret. My last relationship had ended in a restaurant booth, with my ex telling me I was safe but not exciting, while I sat across from her with a paid check and a ring box I had not yet opened. I had become careful after that. Quiet. Useful. The kind of man women trusted to move a couch, not kiss in the hallway. Tessa didn't look at me like I was safe furniture. She looked at me like she knew there was a locked door somewhere and had just found the key under the mat. I walked over to the rack and checked the bar without making a production of it. How many reps? I asked. 3. You've got 3? Confident. I've seen you do more with less sleep. Her eyebrows lifted. You have been observing proper squat mechanics. I adjusted the safety arms 1 notch higher. And recovery patterns. Creepy if said by anyone else. But from a medical professional? Still creepy, just better insured. She ducked under the bar and set it across her shoulders. Her expression changed instantly. The teasing dropped away, replaced by focus. She inhaled, braced, and stood to unrack it. I moved behind her, giving her space. Too much space, apparently. In the mirror, her eyes found mine. She smirked. You can come closer. The words hit me somewhere between my ribs. A man on the next rack glanced over. I pretended not to notice. Tessa definitely noticed and looked even more amused. I don't want to crowd you, I said. You're spotting a squat. Crowding is the job. Right. I stepped in behind her, close enough to help if she missed, not touching. My hands hovered near her ribcage, ready but respectful. I could see the tiny flyaway hairs at the nape of her neck. I could smell citrus shampoo beneath the chalk and iron. She looked at me in the mirror again. Relax, she said softly. I am relaxed. Derek, your jaw is doing a plank. I let out a breath and she smiled like she had won something. Then she squatted. The first rep was clean. Strong depth, smooth drive. The second was harder. Her knees trembled for half a second, but she pushed through it. On the third, she paused at the bottom just a fraction too long. My hands moved closer. Up, I said, low and steady. You've got it. Her face tightened. Drive. She did. I didn't lift the bar. I didn't need to. I only stayed with her close enough that if the weight betrayed her, it would have to go through me first. She racked it with a sharp metallic slam. For 1 second, neither of us moved. Her breathing was heavy. Mine was worse, which felt unfair because she had done all the work. Then she turned around inside the rack, still close enough that I had to look down to meet her eyes. You have a good voice for that, she said. For telling people to stand up? For making it sound like you mean it. That should not have felt intimate. It did. I glanced away first because I was apparently a coward with decent biceps. Nice lift, I said. Thank you. She reached for her water bottle, took a sip, then offered it toward me like an afterthought. I looked at it. She looked at me. It's water, Derek, not a contract. I know. You're thinking very hard about hydration. I'm thinking your entire immune system is none of my business. She laughed again, and this time it softened her whole face. I took the bottle, drank, and handed it back. A small thing. Ridiculous. Somehow more personal than it had any right to be. Then the gym's front door opened behind us, bringing in a burst of late sun and traffic noise. Tessa's smile faded. I followed her gaze. A woman in a cream blazer stood near the front desk, scanning the room with the determined expression of someone who had never once accepted no as a complete sentence. She spotted Tessa and lifted a hand. Tessa closed her eyes. Problem? I asked. My sister. She doesn't look armed. She doesn't need to be. She has opinions. The woman started walking toward us. Tessa turned back to me, and for the first time since I'd known her, the confidence in her face cracked just enough to show nerves underneath. Derek, she said quickly, I'm about to ask you something strange. My day already includes intimate squat supervision, so the bar is high. That got half a smile. Then she stepped closer, lowered her voice, and said, Can you pretend to be my boyfriend for 20 minutes? There are questions a man can answer with dignity. Do you want coffee? Can you help me move this couch? Are you bleeding? Can you pretend to be my boyfriend for 20 minutes? Was not one of them. My brain did the helpful thing where it threw every possible response at me at once, including, but not limited to, yes, absolutely. For legal purposes? Do we have a backstory? Can I put that on my calendar? What if I'm too good at it? What came out was define pretend. Tessa's eyes flicked toward her sister, who was weaving around machines like she owned the building and disapproved of its layout. Pretend, Tessa said, as in she has been trying to set me up with her husband's cousin for 6 months. And if she thinks I'm seeing someone, maybe she'll stop sending me photos of him holding fish. Fish plural? Different fish, same tragic smile. I nodded solemnly. Serious situation. Tessa, her sister called. Tessa inhaled through her nose. Then, before I could decide what boyfriend posture looked like, she reached for my hand. Her fingers slid between mine, that was it. No fireworks, no swelling music. Just warm skin, chalk dust, and the sudden collapse of every intelligent thought I had ever had. She squeezed once, quick and questioning, not claiming me, asking. I squeezed back. Her shoulders loosened. And that, more than the hand-holding, did something dangerous to me. Her sister arrived in front of us with a bright smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She was older than Tessa by maybe 5 years, polished in a way that made the gym seem underdressed around her. Cream blazer, gold hoops, glossy brown hair, phone clutched like a weapon. Okay, she said, looking from Tessa to me to our joined hands. This is new. Mel, Tessa said. Hi. Hi. That's what I get. I drove across town. You texted that you were nearby. I was emotionally nearby. Mel's attention landed on me. And you are? I opened my mouth. Tessa beat me to it. This is Derek, my boyfriend. My boyfriend. I had been called to plenty of things in my life. Dependable, quiet, built like a refrigerator by one drunk uncle at Thanksgiving. Boyfriend hit different. Mel's eyebrows rose. Your boyfriend? That's what I said. For how long? Tessa hesitated for half a second. I lifted her hand and brushed my thumb over her knuckles like I'd done it 100 times. Long enough that she still thinks my jokes are funny. Tessa glanced at me. There was a flash in her eyes, surprised and pleased. Mel narrowed hers. So, 2 days? 3, if you count the first day I admired her squat form from a respectful distance, I said. Tessa coughed like she was trying not to laugh. Mel stared at me. I stared back, polite and relaxed, despite the fact that Tessa's thumb had started making slow, absent circles against the side of my hand, and I was rapidly losing access to language. He's kidding, Tessa said. Mostly, I added. Mel's mouth twitched. Interesting. The word interesting in sister language apparently meant I'm collecting evidence. She turned to Tessa. Mom said you weren't answering her calls. I was working, then training. She's worried. She's always worried. She loves you. I know. Tessa's fingers tightened around mine. That doesn't mean I need to go to brunch with Mason. Mason is nice. Mason sent me a selfie with a trout and captioned it, "Real catch." I winced. As a man, I apologize. Tessa looked up at me. Thank you. You don't speak for all men, Mel said. Not officially. Tessa's mouth curved. It was small but real. Mel watched that smile happen. Something in her expression shifted, less sharp for a second. Then she sighed. I'm not trying to ruin your life, Tess. I know. I just don't like you being alone all the time. Tessa's grip changed, not tighter, smaller somehow, like she was holding on with less confidence. That was the moment the fake part stopped feeling funny. I looked down at her. The streak of chalk was still on her jaw. Her pulse beat lightly at her wrist against mine. For all her teasing and strength, there was something guarded in her face that made me want to step carefully, not in front of her, but beside her. She's not alone, I said. Both sisters looked at me. I cleared my throat. I mean, not right now. Tessa's eyes stayed on mine. Mel looked between us again, and this time her suspicion had softened into curiosity. Right, well, Mom's birthday dinner is Friday. Tessa groaned. Mel! What? Bring Derek. My stomach dropped. Tessa said, no. I said, sure. We spoke at the same time. Tessa turned to me. You don't have to do that. I know. It's family dinner. I've survived hospital potlucks. I fear nothing. You have not met my mother. I work with radiologists. That got her. Tessa laughed, and because I was still holding her hand, I felt the laugh move through her before I heard it. Mel smiled like she had just found the missing piece in a puzzle. Friday at 7, I'll text you the address. No, you won't, Tessa said, and yes, I will. Mel leaned in and kissed Tessa's cheek. Love you. Hydrate. And Derek? Yes? If you're secretly awful, I'll know. Fair. If you hurt her, I'll be creative. Also fair. Tessa's face went pink. Melanie. Mel grinned and walked off like she had accomplished at least 3 objectives. The second she was out of earshot, Tessa dropped my hand. Not fast, but deliberately. My palm felt cold. I am so sorry, she said. For your sister threatening me creatively? Honestly, I've had worse first impressions. This got out of hand. Technically, it was in hand. She covered her face with both palms. Please don't make me laugh. I'm trying to be mortified. I can stand quietly while you spiral. She peeked at me through her fingers. You said yes to Friday. You said no. You should have listened to me. I was pretending to be your boyfriend. Boyfriends are notoriously bad at listening. She dropped her hands and gave me a look. I held up mine. Sorry, that one escaped. Her expression softened. You really don't have to come. I know, I said again. No, Derek, I mean it. You don't owe me anything because I dragged you into my family nonsense. You didn't drag me, you asked. And you said yes because you're nice. I leaned back against the rack, crossing my arms because if I didn't, I might reach for her hand again, and that felt like something I should earn. I said yes because I wanted to. Tessa went still. The gym kept moving around us. Plates clanked. Someone laughed near the cables. A treadmill beeped angrily at an abandoned runner. But between us, everything narrowed. You wanted to pretend to date me? She asked. No. Her face changed too quickly, and I hated myself for the half-second of hurt I saw there. So I pushed off the rack and said the truth before I could sand it down. I wanted a reason to see you outside this gym. Her lips parted. My heartbeat turned stupid. That, she said, quieter, was smooth. It was honest. I'm told there's a difference. By whom? People who don't date me. She studied me. Why don't people date you? I laughed once. That is a heavier question than I expected between squat sets. Deflecting? Absolutely. Noted. She took one step closer. For the record, I didn't ask you because you're nice. No? I asked because you notice things. I didn't know what to do with that. She reached up, and for one insane second I thought she was going to touch my face. Instead, she brushed her thumb along her own jaw, smearing the chalk there. Like this? I asked. What? You've got chalk, I pointed. Still. Oh. She tried again and missed. Can I? The question came out rougher than I meant it to. Tessa's gaze lifted to mine, then she nodded. I stepped closer and touched her jaw with my thumb. Just her jaw? Just a faint streak of chalk. Her skin was warm. The line between pretending and wanting blurred so fast I almost forgot where we were. Her lashes lowered slightly and she didn't move away. If anything, she leaned into the touch by the smallest amount, like a secret she hadn't meant to tell me. I wiped the chalk away. There, I said. Her voice was soft. Thanks. I should have stepped back. I did not. Neither did she. Then someone behind us said, Are you two using this rack or writing vows? Tessa jolted, then laughed, stepping aside. All yours. We cleared her weights together, moving plates in easy rhythm, and it felt absurdly domestic for something involving iron. At the front, she stopped by the water fountain and turned to me. Friday is a bad idea, she said. Probably. My family is loud. Good. I'm quiet. My mom will ask personal questions. I'll lie poorly. She'll know. Then I'll tell the truth selectively. Tessa looked at me for a long moment. And what's the truth? I swallowed. The truth is, I've wanted to talk to you for 3 months and needed your sister to ambush us before I found a spine. Her smile came slowly this time. Not teasing, warm. Okay, she said. Friday. Okay? But we need rules. For fake dating, for surviving dinner. Rule 1, I said. No fish puns. Non-negotiable. Rule 2? She stepped closer, close enough that her shoulder brushed my arm. If you get overwhelmed, she said, touch my hand. I'll rescue you. I looked down at her. I thought I was supposed to be the boyfriend. Her smile turned wicked again. You are. Try to keep up. Then she walked toward the locker rooms, leaving me by the water fountain with chalk on my thumb, her number in my phone, and the sinking realization that pretending with Tessa might be the least fake thing I'd done in years. By Friday at 6:12 p.m., I had changed shirts 4 times. This was ridiculous for several reasons. 1, it was not a real date. 2, I owned exactly 6 shirts nice enough to meet someone's mother in. and 4 of them looked like I was applying for a bank loan. 3, Tessa had texted me at noon. Wear whatever. My family will judge your potato salad opinions more than your clothes. I had replied, what are the correct potato salad opinions? She wrote back, say no raisins and you'll live. That text exchange should not have made me smile through an entire MRI of a man's left knee, but it did. At 6:28, my phone buzzed again. Tessa, are you regretting this yet? Me. I'm currently rehearsing a firm anti-raisin stance. Tessa, good. Also, my mom may hug you. Me. I have survived more aggressive imaging coils, Tessa. Derek. Me, I'll be fine. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Tessa. I'm a little nervous. I stopped buttoning my cuff. There it was, no smirk, no gym floor armor, just the truth, small and offered carefully. Me. Want me to pick you up? A pause. Tessa. That would make it look more real. Me. That wasn't why I asked. The dots came back slower this time. Tessa. Yes, please. So at 6:45, I pulled up outside her apartment building with a 6-pack of ginger ale on the passenger seat because she'd mentioned once, while stretching near the dumbbells, that she didn't drink much but loved ginger ale with unreasonable passion. She came out wearing a green dress under a denim jacket, her hair down around her shoulders. I forgot how brakes worked. Luckily, the car was already parked. Tessa opened the passenger door, saw the ginger ale, and froze. You remembered? I observe hydration patterns too. Her smile hit me square in the chest. That is either very sweet or evidence for a restraining order. I'm hoping sweet. She slid into the car. She smelled like vanilla and citrus, and suddenly my 10-year-old sedan felt intimate in a way it had absolutely no right to be. You look nice, I said. She glanced down at herself. Nice? Sorry, I'm trying not to sound like a man who forgot how brakes work. Her cheeks colored. That bad? That good. For a second, she didn't tease me. She just looked at me, soft and a little startled. Then she buckled her seatbelt and said, Drive before I make that compliment weird. You? Never. Don't get cocky. We haven't survived my mother yet. The Monroe house was 20 minutes away, a pale blue 2-story with flower boxes, porch lights, and at least 6 cars parked along the curb. Through the front windows, I could see people moving around and gesturing with the intensity of a courtroom drama. Tessa didn't get out immediately. I turned off the engine. Rule 2? She looked over. If I get overwhelmed, touch your hand, I reminded her. Her mouth tugged up. That was for you. Maybe I'm generous. Maybe you're deflecting. Absolutely. She laughed, but her fingers were twisting in her lap. I reached across the console and held out my hand, palm up. No performance, no sister watching, no need. Tessa stared at it. Then she put her hand in mine. Her fingers were cool. I closed mine around them gently. We can leave whenever you want, I said. Fake boyfriend privilege. That's not very boyfriend-like. Boyfriends are supposed to complain and ask when food is. Real boyfriend privilege, then. Her eyes lifted to mine. The air changed. It happened so quietly I almost missed it. The way her guard lowered, not all the way, but enough for me to see the weight behind it. My family means well, she said. They just talk over me a lot, and when I'm single, they act like I'm unfinished. I hated that word, unfinished. Tessa, who could stand under a loaded bar and make the whole room look soft by comparison. You don't seem unfinished to me, I said. Her breath caught just slightly. No? No, you seem like someone people keep trying to edit without permission. She looked down at our hands. That was better than smooth, she said. What was it? Dangerous. I should have let go. Instead, my thumb moved once over her knuckles. Good dangerous or bad dangerous? She looked back at me. Ask me after dinner. Inside, I was hugged by her mother, questioned by 2 aunts, handed a bowl of chips by a teenager named Max, and informed by Tessa's father that anyone who worked around magnets must have wild stories. I told him the wildest story I had was a patient bringing a ferret to an appointment in a purse. He loved me immediately. Tessa's mother, Linda, was short, warm, and terrifyingly perceptive. "So, Derek," she said as we gathered around the dining table, "how did you and my daughter meet?" Tessa's foot touched mine under the table, a warning. "At the gym," I said. Linda beamed. "How romantic." Tessa choked on her water. "Mom!" "What? People meet everywhere?" Mel across the table pointed her fork at me. He spotted her. Three relatives made interested noises. Tessa closed her eyes. I took pity on her. She asked for help with a squat. Then she insulted my spotting distance. "I gave constructive feedback," Tessa said. "You told me my jaw was doing a plank." Her father laughed so hard he had to set down his fork. Tessa's foot pressed mine again, but this time it felt less like warning and more like gratitude. Dinner was loud. Loud in the way of people who loved each other aggressively. Stories overlapped. Someone argued about the best pizza in town. Linda asked what my parents did, and when I told her my mom taught second grade and my dad ran a hardware store, she looked pleased, as if that explained something good about me. Then came the question I should have expected. "So," Linda said, passing rolls, "what happened before Tessa? You're handsome, polite, employed. There must be a story." "Mom," Tessa said sharply. "It's fine," I said, but my fork had stopped halfway to my plate. Tessa noticed. Of course she did. I could have made a joke, I almost did. Instead, I looked at Linda and said, "I was engaged, almost. I bought a ring." She ended things before I asked. The table quieted at the edges. Tessa's foot shifted away. Then her hand found mine under the table. Not for show, no one could see. Her fingers threaded through mine, warm and sure. "I'm sorry," Linda said, softer now. "Me too," I said. At the time. Looking back, she wasn't wrong to leave. She wanted someone different. I just spent a while believing that meant I was less. Tessa's hand tightened. I turned slightly toward her, not caring who noticed. She was looking at me like I had just handed her something fragile. "You're not less," she said. Simple, quiet, fierce. The room blurred around the edges. "No," I said. "I'm starting to think maybe I'm not." Her eyes warmed. Mel cleared her throat dramatically. "Well, this is emotionally healthier than Mason and his fish." The table exploded back into noise. Tessa laughed and so did I, but neither of us let go. After dinner, Linda sent us out to the back porch with dessert plates and orders to get some air. The porch overlooked a small yard strung with lights. Crickets hummed. Through the kitchen window, her family moved in bright, chaotic flashes. Tessa leaned against the railing beside me, shoulder nearly touching mine. "You did well," she said. "High praise from my fake girlfriend." She looked down at her pie. "About that." My heart stopped being casual. "Yeah? I don't think I like calling it fake." The porch seemed to tilt. Tessa laughed nervously and set her plate on the railing. "Sorry, that was too direct." "No," I said quickly. "Direct is good. I'm just trying not to pass out in your mother's hydrangeas." She smiled, but her eyes searched mine. "You meant what you said in the car? That you wanted a reason to see me?" "Yes." "And not just because I can squat more than some men can deadlift?" "That is obviously a factor." "Derek!" I stepped closer. Yes, I meant it." Her gaze dropped to my mouth. Every muscle in my body locked. "Tess?" Mel's voice called from inside. Tessa closed her eyes. "I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that." "You sure?" "No." She opened her eyes again, and there was that challenge in them, the one that had ruined me by a squat rack. "But I'm doing it anyway." Then she took the front of my shirt in her fingers, rose on her toes, and kissed me. It was brief, soft, more question than answer. But I answered. My hand came to her waist, careful until she leaned in, and then less careful. Her mouth curved against mine like she knew. Like she had known for longer than 20 minutes, longer than one dinner. Maybe since the first time she caught me watching and decided not to look away. When we separated, she was smiling. "Good, dangerous," she whispered. Inside, Mel called, "I can see you through the window, and I support this." Tessa dropped her forehead against my chest and groaned. I laughed, wrapped one arm around her, and realized I had shown up pretending to be her boyfriend. But somewhere between her hand in mine and her mouth on mine, I had stopped pretending at all. The thing about being kissed by Tessa Monroe on her parents' back porch was that afterward every normal activity became impossible. Standing, strange, breathing, suspicious, eating pie, a heroic challenge. When we walked back inside, her entire family tried to act casual and failed in 7 different ways. Linda smiled into her coffee. Mel gave me 2 thumbs up from behind the refrigerator door. Tessa's father asked if I wanted more pie with the solemn gravity of a man offering military support. Tessa, meanwhile, kept her chin high and her expression calm, except for the pink in her cheeks and the fact that she wouldn't quite look at me. So naturally I leaned down and murmured, "Your jaw is doing a plank." Her eyes snapped to mine. Then she laughed. Just like that, the awkwardness broke. "Careful," she said quietly. "I know where you keep your ribs. I'm aware. You nearly broke them with one kiss." Her blush deepened, and I decided I would spend the rest of my life trying to make that happen again. Not that I was getting ahead of myself, obviously. By 10, we were back in my car outside her apartment building. Neither of us moved to unbuckle. The street was quiet, washed gold by the lamps. Somewhere nearby, a dog barked once and immediately regretted it. Tessa held the unopened last can of ginger ale in her lap, turning it slowly between her palms. "Tonight was a lot," she said. "Your aunt asked me if MRI magnets could erase bad memories. She asks every new person that." I told her not reliably. "That's probably why she liked you," I smiled. "Your family is nice. They're exhausting. Both can be true." She looked over then. The humor faded, leaving something more careful behind. "Thank you for what you said at dinner," she said. "About your ex, you didn't have to tell them that." "I know. Why did you?" I watched my hands on the steering wheel. "Because your mom asked like she wanted gossip. But you were sitting next to me looking like you were ready to bite through glass if I got uncomfortable." "I was not? You absolutely were." She looked away, but her mouth twitched. "And I guess," I continued, "I didn't want to start this with a lie." "This?" I heard it too late. The word had slipped out, unplanned and enormous. I turned to her. "Whatever this is." The can stilled in her hands. "I don't want to use you as a shield from my family," she said. "You didn't." "I did a little. You asked me to pretend for 20 minutes. Then you kissed me like you were very committed to the role." She laughed, but it trembled at the edge. I reached across the console, stopping short of touching her, giving her the choice. She looked at my hand. Then she took it. "I liked kissing you," she said. My pulse went straight through the roof. I tried to keep my voice normal. "Good. Because I've been thinking about it since it happened, and I'm starting to worry it permanently rewired me." This time her smile was slow. "Derek." "Yeah? Ask me on a real date." I stared at her. She lifted an eyebrow. "Unless you'd rather keep emotionally circling the parking lot." "No, I mean, yes. I mean, Tessa, will you go on a real date with me?" "When?" "Tomorrow." Bold. I have lost patience with myself. She laughed softly. "Tomorrow works." "Dinner?" "Too formal." "Coffee?" "Too safe." "Mini golf?" "Too much pressure. I'm competitive." "I've seen you squat, I assumed." She leaned closer, her hand still in mine. "Take me somewhere you actually like." That question felt more intimate than it should have. Not impressive. Not strategic. Mine. "There's a used bookstore on Archer," I said. "It has a cafe in the back with terrible chairs and good cinnamon rolls." Her expression changed, softening in a way that made me want to tell her every uncool thing I loved. "That," she said, "sounds perfect." Then she kissed me again. Not long, not deep, just enough to make the inside of my chest go quiet. When she pulled back, she smiled against my mouth. "Pick me up at 10. "Yes, ma'am." She narrowed her eyes. "Do not make that a gym thing." "I would never." "You absolutely would." She got out of the car, then leaned down through the open door. Good night, real almost boyfriend. The door shut before I could respond. I sat there grinning like an idiot until she made it inside. The next morning, I arrived at 9:58 with coffee because restraint had clearly died on Friday night. Tessa came down in jeans, sneakers, and a soft blue sweater, hair loose again. She saw the coffee and pressed a hand to her heart. You brought caffeine. I observe patterns. That line is becoming less creepy. I'm growing on you. Like mold, but handsome. I opened the passenger door for her. She paused before getting in and looked up at me. You're nervous, she said. Only because this one counts. Her face warmed. Then, to my surprise, she touched my chest lightly with 2 fingers. Right over my heartbeat. It counted before, she said. At the bookstore, Tessa wandered like she belonged there, trailing her fingers along cracked spines, reading strange titles aloud and making me defend my taste in old detective novels. This man on the cover looks like he distrusts soup, she said. He's been betrayed. By soup? By a woman in red and possibly soup. She laughed too loudly and got shushed by an elderly man in the history section. Instead of being embarrassed, she leaned closer to me and whispered, We're trouble. We? You bought coffee. Accessory. We shared a cinnamon roll at a tiny table in the back cafe because she insisted that ordering 2 was cowardice in pastry form. She tore off the centerpiece, then froze. Oh, she said. I took the best part. I saw. I can give it back. You already touched it. You drank from my water bottle. That was under duress. Her eyes gleamed. You want it? Yes. She held it out, but when I reached for it, she pulled it back. Say please. I leaned in over the small table. Please. The word landed between us differently than I intended. Her smile faded into something softer. She fed me the bite. Her fingers brushed my lower lip. For half a second, neither of us moved. Then she looked down, laughing under her breath. Okay, that was more romantic than I planned. I'm not complaining. No, you're just looking at me like that. Like what? Like I'm not unfinished. I went still. She said it quietly, not as a joke. Her hands folded around her coffee cup. My last boyfriend used to say I was intimidating, she said. At first he said it like a compliment. Then it became a complaint. Like my goals were rude. Like being strong meant I didn't get to be soft. I hated him immediately, which was probably not mature but felt morally correct. You're allowed to be both, I said. Her eyes lifted. Strong and soft, I said. Independent and tired. Competitive and scared. Whatever combination shows up that day. Her mouth pressed together for a moment. You say things like you've been saving them, she said. Maybe I have. She reached across the table and took my hand in both of hers. There was no audience, no family pressure, no performance. Just Tessa choosing me in the back of a bookstore cafe, with cinnamon sugar on the plate between us. I'm scared too, she admitted. Not of you. Of liking you this fast. My throat tightened. I'm scared of being chosen because I'm convenient, I said. Or safe. Or because I showed up at the right time. You're not convenient, she said immediately. You alphabetized the mystery shelf while I was in the bathroom. It was chaos. You're deeply inconvenient. Thank you. And safe isn't boring, Derek. Her thumb brushed my knuckles. Not with you. With you, it feels like standing under a bar I know I can lift because someone is there, not taking over, just believing I can. I had no defense against that. So I kissed her. Right there between the cafe counter and a rotating rack of bookmarks, I leaned over the table and kissed Tessa slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. She smiled into it instead. The elderly man from history shushed us again. Tessa whispered, Worth it. After the bookstore, we walked 3 blocks with no destination. Her hand kept bumping mine until I finally took it, and she glanced over like she'd been waiting to see if I would. By the time I drove her home, the air between us felt easy and terrifying. At her building, she didn't get out right away. I want to see you tomorrow, she said. My heart answered before my mouth could. Good. But I have to be honest about something. The sentence landed cold. She looked down at our joined hands. My ex texted me this morning, she said. He heard from someone that I brought you to dinner. He wants to talk. I forced myself not to tighten my grip. Tessa looked up quickly. I don't want him. That's not why I'm telling you. Why are you? Because I don't want old ghosts walking into this while I pretend they're not there. She swallowed. And because I like you enough to be honest before it gets messy. The fear in me eased, replaced by something steadier. I lifted her hand and kissed her knuckles. Then we'll be honest, I said. And tomorrow, I'll still want to see you. Her eyes shone. Good, she whispered, because I was really hoping you would. Sunday morning, Tessa texted me before I could overthink myself into cardiac failure. Tessa, I'm going to answer him. Me? Okay, Tessa, not because I owe him, because I'm tired of letting an unread message sit in my head like furniture. Me? Want company or space? 3 dots appeared, vanished, then appeared again. Tessa. Company, but not as backup. As you. That was how I ended up sitting beside her on a park bench with 2 coffees between us while she called the man who had once made her feel like strength was a flaw. His name was Tyler. I knew that because she told me in the car on the way over, voice steady, hands not quite. He wasn't evil, she said. That almost made it harder. If someone is awful all the time, you can leave and feel clean about it. But he could be sweet. Then he'd make little comments. How I trained too much. How I didn't need to be so intense. How it would be nice if I let someone take care of me for once. I kept both hands on the steering wheel, even though I wanted to reach for her. Tessa, I said, letting someone care about you isn't the same as making yourself smaller. She looked out the window. I know that now. But she said it like she was still practicing. At the park, she sat with one knee bouncing, phone in her hand. Early sun cut through the trees. A kid on a scooter sailed past us wearing a dinosaur helmet. Somewhere behind us, a dog barked at a squirrel with deep personal conviction. Tessa stared at Tyler's name on her screen. You can still change your mind, I said. I know. And I'm not going anywhere. I know that too. She glanced over and the look she gave me was not helpless, not asking me to handle it for her. It was trust. Then she hit call. He answered on the second ring. I couldn't hear everything he said, just the low hum of a male voice through the speaker. Tessa didn't put him on speakerphone. This was hers. Hi, Tyler, she said. I got your message. A pause. Yes, I'm seeing someone. My heart did something embarrassing. No, it's not sudden. It only looks sudden to you because you haven't been in my life. Another pause. Her fingers curled around the edge of the bench. I shifted closer, not touching. She looked at my hand. I turned my palm up. She took it. I don't want to meet up, she said. I don't want to revisit us. I hope you're doing well, but I'm not available for this anymore. The voice on the phone sharpened. I still couldn't catch the words, but I saw the effect. Her jaw tightened, her shoulders rose. Then she inhaled, and I watched Tessa Monroe choose herself. No, she said clearly. I'm not being cold, I'm being clear. Silence. Then softer but even firmer, goodbye, Tyler. She ended the call. For a few seconds, she didn't move. Then she set the phone face down on the bench and exhaled so hard it almost sounded like a laugh. I brushed my thumb over her knuckles. How do you feel? Like I just re-racked a weight I should have unloaded a long time ago. That's very poetic for a gym metaphor. I contain multitudes. You do. She turned toward me. Her eyes were bright, but she was smiling. Thank you for not taking over. I didn't want to. No. No. I looked down at our hands. I want to be the guy behind you when the weight gets heavy, not the guy who decides what you can lift. Her smile trembled. Derek. Yeah? I'm going to kiss you now. I support that plan. She laughed once, then leaned in and kissed me on the park bench with her coffee going cold beside us and the dinosaur helmet kid yelling, "You!" as he scooted by. Tessa pulled back, grinning. Tough crowd. I've worked with radiologists. I can handle criticism. Her forehead rested against mine. There were prettier moments, maybe, more cinematic ones. But that one stayed with me, the sun in her hair, her hand still in mine, her phone silent on the bench. Not rescued, not fixed. Free. That afternoon we went back to Iron Haven. It was her idea. I want a lift, she said. You just ended emotional warfare before noon. Exactly, I have momentum. The gym looked the same as it had the day she first asked me to spot her. Rubber floors, clanking plates, bad protein shakes. The squat rack was open like the universe had a sense of humor. Tessa loaded the bar. I watched her from 2 feet away, no longer pretending not to. She caught me in the mirror. Observing mechanics? Admiring my girlfriend. She paused with a plate in her hands. The word had slipped out before I could stop it. Girlfriend. We had not officially said that. The plate hovered. I felt my face heat. Unless that's too soon. Or inaccurate. Or... Derek. I shut up. She slid the plate onto the bar, clipped it, then walked straight into my space. You don't get to call me your girlfriend by accident. Okay. You have to do it on purpose. My pulse kicked. I held her gaze. Tessa Monroe, will you be my girlfriend on purpose? Her smile came slowly, bright enough to make every mirror in the gym seem unnecessary. Yes. Then she grabbed the front of my shirt and kissed me between the squat racks. Someone clapped once from the leg press. Tessa broke the kiss just enough to mutter, if that's Mel, I'm changing gyms. It's a man with calves the size of my torso. Acceptable. She stepped under the bar, still smiling. I moved behind her. This time, I didn't stand too far away. Her eyes found mine in the mirror, warm and wicked. You can come closer, she said. I did. She lifted 3 reps clean, and I swear I had never seen anything more beautiful than her standing up under something heavy, knowing exactly what she was capable of, knowing I knew it too. 6 months later, I still spotted her squats on Tuesdays. Not every Tuesday. Some Tuesdays we skipped the gym and made dinner in my small apartment, where she criticized my knife skills and I pretended not to notice her stealing the best pieces of roasted potato from the pan. Some nights she fell asleep on my couch with her feet in my lap and a book open on her chest. Some mornings she left a spare hair tie around my gear shift, and I started keeping ginger ale in the fridge like it had always belonged there. Her family stopped asking if we were real after Linda caught us washing dishes together after Sunday dinner. Tessa hip-checking me away from the sink while I flicked soap bubbles at her wrist. You two are obnoxious, Mel said from the doorway. Tessa looked at me, then at her sister. Accurate. A year after that night on the porch, we went back to the same bookstore cafe. The chairs were still terrible, the cinnamon rolls were still worth poor posture. Tessa took the center bite again, because romance had limits, apparently. This time, when she held it out to me, I caught her, wrist gently and kissed the inside of it instead. She went quiet. What? I asked. She shook her head, smiling. Nothing, just thinking. About? How strange it is, she said, that one day you're asking a man at the gym to spot you. And the next thing you know, he's the person who knows how you take your coffee and where you keep your fear. I held her hand on the table between us. And your ginger ale. And my ginger ale. Outside, rain tapped against the cafe window. Inside, Tessa leaned her shoulder into mine and opened a book we both knew she wasn't going to read. I rested my cheek against her hair. The first time she asked me to spot her, I thought my job was to stand close enough to catch the bar. I had no idea she was asking me to come closer to the rest of her life. What would you have done if your gym crush asked you to spot her, then smirked and told you to come closer? Have you ever experienced something similar? Tell your story in the comments. And for those who'd like to be a little closer to us, we've opened memberships where you'll get shorter exclusive stories every week with no ads. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.